The iconic LV monogram by Louis Vuitton stands today as one of the most universally recognized symbols in the world of fashion. It's hard to believe that Louis Vuitton started his brand from nothing and made this into one of the most iconic luxury brands we've ever seen. He didn't have a job, a home, or family support. But now, after 166 years, his brand is among the best in luxury goods. So how did this impossible thing happen? And how did a young teenager from France create a multi-billion-dollar brand? Let's get straight into it. The story of Louis Vuitton starts in a tiny village in France called Angers. Louis Vuitton was born there on August 4th, 1821, to a family that didn't have much money. His dad worked as a farmer, and his mom made hats to put food on the table for their family. When he was a kid, he worked hard on the farm, taking care of the fields and the animals. Because of his family's poor financial condition, he couldn't go to school like most kids. During this troubled time, his mom passed away. His dad remarried soon after, but things got worse for Louis. His stepmom was mean and unkind, so at the age of 13, he made a brave choice and left home. With nothing in his pockets and a head full of uncertainty, he set off for Paris. The biggest problem was that this journey was 225 miles, and surviving wouldn't be easy without a plan. Louis did odd jobs to survive, picking up skills with metal, wood, and fabrics as he went along. The money he made was meager, but he didn't know yet that these skills would change his life. He slept wherever he could during his journey until he finally reached Paris in 1837. His struggle to survive on the streets shaped him into an amazing designer. When Louis Vuitton arrived in 1837, he started working for Monsieur Maréchal, making luggage. He crafted special boxes for rich clients, winning Monsieur's admiration for his hard work. He also connected with wealthy people who bought his luggage. His life took a major turn in 1851 when he encountered the Empress of France, becoming his customer. She was impressed by his exceptional craftsmanship and appointed him as her personal box maker. This marked a remarkable milestone for the young man, who once wandered the streets after leaving home. Being chosen as the personal box maker and packer for the Empress was the pinnacle of success in his field. Yet this journey from a wandering soul to serving royalty was just the beginning of Louis Vuitton's meteoric ascent. In 1854, Vuitton's career took another uphill turn. First, he got married to Clémence Émilie Perriot. After getting married, he put his business plan into action and opened up his first shop making luggage on Rue Neuve de Capucine. People quickly started liking his products because they were both stylish and useful. Because he'd been working with luggage for a long time, he had noticed a big problem. Back then, luggage was made of leather and had round tops to let the rain slide off. But because of this round shape, you couldn't stack the bags, and people had to carry them one by one. Vuitton tried different materials and found that canvas worked best. It was tough and didn't let the water in. With this discovery, he made flat bags that were easy to stack and carry. In 1858, Louis Vuitton showed his first collection of trunks at a big exhibition in Paris. People loved them, and soon he was making them for famous French people like Napoleon III and Empress Eugenie. Then, in 1859, Louis Vuitton got a bronze medal at the Paris exhibition for his trunks. This made more people think that he was one of the best trunk makers around. Louis Vuitton as a brand became popular with each passing year, thanks to its owner who had links with the most important and influential people of the time, and with that, they became a symbol of high status in elite society. Even people from Russia, Egypt, and Spain liked his bags and bought them. Vuitton's bags became so famous for being special, he got orders from all over the world. He made a lot of money, so he opened up more shops outside Paris and hired more people to help him. As more and more people around the globe started traveling, even more regular people wanted to buy his bags. But Louis wasn't done, and he moved on to something new: handbags. Even though other handbags existed, people didn't like them very much. Women didn't want big, bulky bags that clashed with their style. So in 1867, Vuitton got a new idea. He used that same canvas instead of leather and made handbags that everybody wanted. Women began asking for more styles to match their clothes. But then, everything stopped for Vuitton because of the Franco-Prussian War. The Franco-Prussian War, which started in 1870, changed everything. It affected every business, including Louis Vuitton. He had no choice but to fight to stay alive. When he was 49, Vuitton left his home and went to camps to survive during the war. He lived in fear of dying every day in the crowded camp with lots of other families. After a year of fear, the war finally ended in 1871. But when Vuitton came back, everything was finished. There was only one way for Louis Vuitton. He had to start over. He looked for new places to open shop. Because of the bad conditions after the war, prices for places to set up a shop had gone down a lot. Vuitton used all of his money to buy a spot in a fancy part of Paris. It was right next to the fancy Grand Hotel, the perfect place to make his business big again. Being near the hotel helped him get customers who were staying there and looking for bags while traveling. Since his shop was so close, it was easy for the guests to visit. And in just a few months, his business grew again, and he started getting orders from all over the world. By then, Louis Vuitton knew that his new ideas were what people liked about his stuff. So he came up with another new idea to make his business even better. He started putting special stripes on his bags, making it easy for customers to find them when loading. These stripes made the bags useful and fancy. Even though there were cheaper copies of his bags, people still wanted the real LV bag because it was brilliantly crafted with top quality materials. Amidst all the good things happening, something really sad shook up the Louis Vuitton empire. On February 27, 1892, Louis Vuitton was found dead. His story had ended, but not the business he had made. There was still a long way to go, and after he passed, his son Georges Vuitton took control of the business. He made it big worldwide by opening a shop in London, England. By then, Louis Vuitton was so famous that other companies were making fake versions of their bags. However, George fixed this by creating a special logo in 1896. To make their brand different, he used his dad's initials, LV, so it was hard for others to copy. George Vuitton had an innovative mind just like his father. He brought in this amazing lock system for LV bags that made everyone want them even more. The lock was super tough to open, making the bags safer. They were so safe, in fact, that even Harry Houdini, the famous escape artist, couldn't open them. The company got bigger, and they cared a lot about making their products extra special. In 1925, when Louis Vuitton worked with Coco Chanel, it was a big deal for them. They made a new bag called Alma for Coco Chanel herself, showing off her style. Later they sold it, and people loved it. So Louis Vuitton made even more bags, like Speedy, Noah, and Keep All. However, after the death of Georges in 1936, the company was passed to Gaston Louis, but it wasn't as easy for Gaston to take the business forward. In 1940, when the Second World War started, Gaston had to stop the operations. Every business was having a hard time, but Louis Vuitton was doing better than others. Some say Gaston had made a deal with the Nazis to save his business, and that it had helped Louis Vuitton. Later, an author named Stephanie Bonvincini wrote in the book Louis Vuitton, A French Saga, that the Vuitton people helped the Vichy regime and supported the Germans. Someone from the company said, "We can't say it's not true, but the author made the Vichy part sound worse than it was." After Gaston died, his son-in-law, Henri Rassimier, took over Louis Vuitton. He was already experienced in business and made the company even better. He changed Louis Vuitton from a family business to a world-renowned luxury brand. Henri made it bigger and set up the way LV is known today. With Henri leading, the company's sales went from 20 million to 260 million. Then, in 1987, Louis Vuitton broke $1 billion in sales, making it a multi-billion-dollar business. It was way more than what young Louis could have even imagined when he had started his small shop in Paris. So now as the company expands, we usually see that it begins to attract investors. With that in mind, Bernard Arnault, a big real estate tycoon, had a great idea: to bring together the best brands and make something special. He went out to connect with Henri and Alain Chevalier to bring them under the same roof. Alain Chevalier was the owner of Moet Hennessy, which was a luxury drink company making champagne and cognac. Henri thought it was a good idea for Louis Vuitton to team up with Moet Hennessy, and they could end with something extraordinary by mixing a big brand name with marketing acumen. Louis Vuitton gets to use Moet Hennessy's sharp selling tactics, and Moet Hennessy gets the popular identity and design of Louis Vuitton. So they ended up forming a strong alliance called LVMH. The plan was that by working together, they could use all their resources and grow even quicker. But things went bad after the companies merged. Henri didn't get along with Moet Hennessy's president, so he asked Bernard Arnault to help. But it didn't turn out exactly as he wanted. Bernard secretly bought 43% of Louis Vuitton's shares and got help from Moet and Hennessy families to get even more power in LVMH. Henri felt like he was being betrayed by the guy he had asked for help. He took Arnault to court, saying Bernard shouldn't have most of Louis Vuitton. But the court disagreed and said Bernard could keep it. Henri was mad that his friend had betrayed him, so he decided to leave Louis Vuitton completely. Now, for the first time in nearly 100 years, no one from the Vuitton family was even involved with the brand. After all the drama with Bernard taking over, Louis Vuitton's sales started dropping. Nobody in the media was talking about the brand anymore. The year was 1989, and for a while it seemed like the company might fail completely. But Bernard knew how to turn things around. Louis Vuitton bounced back by teaming up with different fashion designers for its 100th anniversary collection. Famous names like Vivienne Westwood and Isaac Mizrahi made their versions of the LV logo. They made stuff that people hadn't seen before, and suddenly everyone wanted a Louis Vuitton bag again. In the end, Bernard's decision to invest in Louis Vuitton paid off big time. He's now the boss of LVMH, and in March of this year, Forbes said that he's the richest person in the world with over $180 billion. Stock prices change, and so the rich list rankings change too. But he's almost always one of the top 5 richest people. But compared to others like Bezos, Musk, Gates, and Buffett, Bernard Arnault is not as famous. He likes to stay away from the spotlight. We know he's adamant in business, and they call him the wolf in cashmere. That's how LVMH got over 70 different brands, buying and joining companies together. This one company owns a lot of the fanciest brands in the world. In 1999, LVMH got Christian Dior, bringing in captivating fragrances and timeless handbags. Then came Givenchy in the 1990s, adding cool styles, luxury clothes, and perfumes like Ange ou Démon. But LVMH didn't just stick to fashion. In 2020, they did something huge by buying Tiffany & Co., a famous American jewelry brand. Tiffany's famous blue boxes and beautiful diamonds joined LVMH, adding some timeless charm and history to their collection. So this shows that Louis Vuitton is not restricted to bags anymore, and has diversified into multi-million-dollar businesses. And it all started with a teenager who had no money and nowhere to live. Louis Vuitton kept growing and making new, bright styles that young people loved. In 1997, Marc Jacobs became the creative director. He made the first ready-to-wear clothes and came up with the famous monogram Vernis handbags. Marc Jacobs also added watches, jewelry, and sunglasses to Louis Vuitton. But later, he left Louis Vuitton to start his own clothes and accessory line. Louis Vuitton faces some problems too. They have a team of lawyers who look for people copying their logo. They'll sue anyone they think is copying them. They even sued Google for showing fake bags in search results and ads. But Google won, because they can't control what people do online. Louis Vuitton also worked with Supreme, which is a clothing and skateboarding lifestyle brand. Funny thing is that Louis Vuitton originally sued Supreme for copying their logo, but then they saw how much money they could make together. Now Louis Vuitton and Supreme are robbing people of their wallets. They sold a leather trunk for $125,000 and an LV Supreme hoodie for over $5,000. That is a hefty amount for a trunk and a hoodie. Counterfeiting is still a big problem for Louis Vuitton. They say that they lose hundreds of millions every year because of fake stuff. But even after 168 years, they're still standing tall as a colossal brand. Today, Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy has over 75 luxury brands. They sell watches, jewelry, perfumes, wines, and leather items. They own big names like Christian Dior, Fendi, Givenchy Beauty, and more. LVMH keeps adding more brands to its business. They work in 50 countries and have more than 5,000 stores around the world. A young boy who once left his home at the age of 13 with no food, no clothes, and no shelter. He had only a dream in his eyes. With hope and hard work, he made his dream come true. From being poor and homeless to starting a billion-dollar business. His journey is truly inspiring. If you're enjoying this content and you want to see more like it, hit those like and subscribe buttons, and you'll be notified as soon as new videos come out. And why not make some suggestions for future epic origin stories in the comments below.